webinar. I believe that we are composed of teachers, counselors, students, and other professionals from different parts of Metro Manila and even outside Manila. And to my surprise, upon checking the registration data, we have overseas participants. Hello, everyone, and I hope all is well with all of you. Let's enjoy today's activity. With me are my classmates from the Graduate School of UP Diliman, College of Education, Counselor Education area. And I'd like to introduce them with you also. My dear classmates and co-facilitators, once I call out your name, please open your video and wave hi to our dear participants. Ready? Let's start with Miss Sabrina Advincola.
Good morning po to our dear participants. I'm Miss Sabrina po. I'm one of the facilitators. So I hope that you will enjoy po this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Mr. Ezekiel Caldona.
Hello po, good morning everyone. Hope you'll learn a lot today for our webinar. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Miss Almira Reciproco.
Hello, good morning everyone. I hope this webinar will give you a happy weekend, diba? So stay with us for 2 hours. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Almira. Next is Miss Catherine Chris Sanggalang.
Hi, good morning everyone. I hope you enjoyed this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Kath. And lastly, Miss Miren Sanchoque.
Hello everyone, good morning. Thank you for joining us today.
Okay. Thank you, my fellow co-facilitators. To begin with, let me share with you our house rules for this webinar. Miss Almira, please help us share the screen, please. Thank you. Okay, for the house rules, first, turn off your microphones all throughout the webinar. And number 2, should you have any questions, concerns, or clarifications, kindly use the chat box feature. That's all. Thank you. And to formally start the program, may I call again Mr. Ezekiel to lead us the opening prayer.
Good morning again everyone. So, let us all feel the presence of the Lord. Dear God, thank you for this new day, and thank you for the many blessings that you have given us. Be with us for today's webinar. Watch over our participants as they listen and be part of this event. Guide our facilitators and our speaker as they share their knowledge and expertise for today. Grant us your wisdom, strength, and provision for this day and the days to come. Amen.
And once again, I'd like to formally welcome you to our webinar today for teachers entitled Maintaining Subjective Well-Being and Managing Stress in the New Normal. And to give us the opening remarks, may we call on Miss Sabrina. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Zai. So good morning again to our dear participants. I'm Ms. Sabrina, one of the facilitators of this webinar. So I'm glad to welcome all of you to this webinar entitled Maintaining Subjective Well-Being and Managing Stress in the New Normal. So we are all aware that since the pandemic started, everything became more challenging for every one of us. It greatly impacts our lives in many aspects. So aside from the medical and economic crisis, it has also affected many people's subjective well-being, aka happiness. In the wake of the COVID-19, educators particularly are facing challenges they might never encounter before, including the disruption of established instructional routines, the fast-paced transition from physical teaching to remote learning, the emotional toll of isolation due to social distancing efforts, and uncertainty about personal safety and health. With our speaker for today's webinar, let us all find out how to maintain happiness and life satisfaction amidst the pandemic and identify ways to cope with the stress brought with it. Once again, We, the graduate students from the Counselor Education of UP Diliman, warmly welcomes you to this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sav. And it is my honor to introduce our guest speaker for today's webinar. Ms. Marie Grace A. Gomez is a Professor 1 at the Counselor Education Area, College of Education, University of the Philippines, Diliman. She teaches counseling and research courses at the undergraduate and graduate levels. She has a bachelor's degree in political science, a Master of Arts in Education guidance degree, a Doctor of Philosophy degree in guidance, and another doctorate in special education. She is currently working on a graduate degree in clinical psychology. All degrees are earned from the University of the Philippines, Diliman. She has served as a classroom teacher, guidance counselor, and administrator in the basic and tertiary education settings. Her community extension projects involve counseling and assessment of children, persons with disability, children in conflict with the law, drug surrenderies, sexually abused children, medical personnel, women with mental health issues in institutional settings, and persons affected by COVID-19. Her researches are in the fields of education, persons with disability, children in conflict with the law. And she is also a member of the Pi Gamma Mu Honor Society, the Pi Lambda Theta Honor Society for Teachers, and the Phi Kappa Phi Honor Society. She was a recipient of the UP Presidential Scholarship Award, the UP International Publication Award, the One UP Professional Chair for Teaching and Research, and the One UP Professional Chair Award for Teaching and Public Service. Together, let's welcome virtually Dr. Marie Grace Gomez, RGC.
No? Muted, nakamute po.
Sorry. Okay, nag-mute siya. Sorry. Thank you very much for coming to the webinar, and I hope that everyone is safe today. I would like to thank you for spending your Saturday morning with me, with us, that we believe that your time is very precious. But we also would like to say, kumusta sa nangungumusta? Because the teachers would be counseling, would be engaged in a lot of activities, check-in sessions with the students. But no one ever talks to the teachers and no one says, kumusta ka na? So it is assumed that people like us in the teaching professions are superhumans, and some people would say that, ay nako, okay lang yan kasi you can manage because you are a teacher. You can manage because you are equipped and you have the educational preparation to do so. So it would be somewhat unfair for us sometimes that we would say, naku, kawawa naman kami, hindi kami kinukumusta. Or we feel that people are putting too much on our plate. So in this webinar, we are hopefully trying to present to you some evidence-based ways on how to maintain your subjective well-being during the new normal. Okay, so we will be talking about subjective well-being. It is also known as happiness, but subjective well-being goes beyond happiness. Okay, so before we start, let's have a check-in activity. How are you today? We have here the Mentimeter code. We have here the QR code. We have the voting code. So let's start with a check-in activity. Kumusta ka na? How are you today? What is your emoji today? I will be putting the Mentimeter link in the chat box. so that we can check on your emojis today. I will be presenting the results in real time. Okay, so these are the results in real time. You can vote. You can see the results in real time. Okay, so thank you very much for voting. So you can still vote in the Mentimeter, and I'll be showing you the results later. Okay, we had a check-in activity earlier, and I would like to stress to you the importance of check-in activities. Good morning also, Ma'am Maridem. The importance of check-ins, because this makes people feel known. And whenever I talk to teachers and I talk to educators, I always emphasize on the importance of checking in. It's very much important that we get to know each other and we get to know the sentiment of each other. So we do a check-in activity. So it's a process where students are invited in the beginning of the class, or the participants in the session like this, because it's important to check in on how each and everyone feels in order for us to identify the struggles, dilemmas, and accomplishments. And we would be sharing how we feel. And somehow, when we have shared what we feel towards other people, we would understand that there are also other people who are feeling the same way. For students, it would be an opportunity to talk to each other about experiences. And if you are in the administration, it would be best for you to have a check-in activity in order for you to understand the other people in the group and to understand what everyone is going through right now. It gives you an experience of having a sense of family. You are a member of a classroom group. And this group can be composed of students and teachers. You belong to a family. For the students, the classroom can be the only family that they have, because their original families are not accepting them, or a lot of kids are not having a good relationship with their parents. Similarly, for teachers, having a good environment, for example, at work, would enable them to be more productive. That's why check-ins are very important. Okay? It encourages everyone to have a voice and everyone to be heard and listened to. It enables students to listen and offer for support, ideas, and challenges and guidance to each other. It helps people feel known, and it makes sure that everyone is seen and heard. So this would be a check-in spectrum for students, but this could also be a check-in spectrum for your teachers. So everyone comes in the classroom with some personal concerns. For teachers, we have the end goal of having all the students graduate. We have the end goal of delivering all the lectures that we have, all the instruction that we have, all the tests that we have, and to attend all the meetings. For students, they could have some personal problems. For teachers, they could also have some personal problems. For example, I talk to teachers right now who are struggling with finances because their spouses lost their jobs. I'm talking to teachers who have marital issues. I'm talking to teachers who have problems with their kids because their kids apparently won't cooperate with them now that they are in a work from home setup. There's a focus on students' course experience. And of course, as teachers, you also have experience in teaching your students because there are students that are uncooperative. We have goal setting, and teachers also have goal setting. We have to give the deliverables on time. And of course, there are students who would have targeted help or tutoring. And with the teacher side, there would also be some support that would be needed. Some teachers would need psychological support. Some teachers would need some emotional support, or sometimes it's even financial support just to get by. Or there could be some whole faculty that are struggling with health, with struggling with the health of their loved ones and other relatives. I always begin by discussing the stress of remote work, and the new normal is quite stressful for everyone because our classrooms look like this. We have little time to socialize, there's an overlap of roles, and poor internet connectivity. We are all on survival mode and we are suffering from anxieties due to the pandemic. Later on, my students would be sharing to you the practical tips that they have in order for them to survive this pandemic. And of course, we have also technology failure. That's why I keep on stopping sharing because some in some way my laptop hangs. There's academic stress, and academic stress could be in the form of inability to concentrate, mental health issues. There's a lot of discomfort, irritability. This happens to both the teachers and the students. Sometimes the teachers and the students would have the same level of stress, and there would be an argument inside the virtual classroom. Okay. The mental health issues would be fear and worry about one's own health and the health of their loved ones, anxiety for fear or fear of the unknown. There are fears of financial crisis, and for people who have mental health issues, this could be a trigger. It could recur. Okay, so let's have some discussions coming from the field. The students in EDCO 202 are all teachers. So let's have some teacher talk right now. So Ma'am Almira will be talking about the stressors of COVID-19.
Permission to share my screen, Doc?
Yes, I have already meow co-host here.
Stress. Stress is any change that causes physical.
Oops.
Stress. Stress is any change that causes physical, emotional, or psychological strain. Stress is your body's response to anything that requires attention or action, and it is normal. As a matter of fact, everyone experiences stress to some degree. The way you respond to stress, however, makes a big difference to your overall well being. When the pandemic began last year, everyone was in shock. We were traumatized with the imminent risk of COVID-19 virus to our health and to our lives. We were worried about the situation and everything felt uncertain and out of control. Fast forward today, and the vaccine is already available, but not for the majority of us. It seems that the pandemic is not going to end anytime soon, as evidenced by the many new COVID 19 cases being reported. The pandemic has continuously affected the lives of people all over the world, and nobody is spared from it, regardless of socio-economic, educational, and political status. With all of these things happening around us, it is normal and understandable that people are experiencing fear or stress in the context of the COVID 19 pandemic. In a survey conducted by the Special Social Weather Stations last July 2020, 86% of Filipinos said that COVID-19 pandemic brought them stress, 51% of which claimed great stress, and 35% revealed much stress. A much lower 14% said that they felt little to no stress at all. Involuntary hunger and loss of jobs are strongly associated with the stress that Filipinos are experiencing. How does the COVID-19 pandemic affect every one of us? First, mental health issues during COVID-19. The pandemic is taking a big toll on the mental health of the people. The effects of the prolonged community quarantine, the fear of own health and of our loved ones, the exhaustion from the lengthy online presence, the agony from the economic turmoil, and the loss of lives are manifesting little by little, putting mental well being at risk and has brought anxiety and depression to many. Second, challenges at work. The current pandemic also has brought many challenges for the workforce. These include the needed adjustment to work from home setup, the stressful transportation system, the countless online meetings every day, the chaotic and almost round the clock work setup, and even laying off some workers. Third, teachers and students coping with the new realities of COVID-19 classroom. Educators are greatly affected by the pandemic. Teachers are overloaded with tasks that were not even part of their job descriptions before. They are confronted with many adjustments, particularly in the delivery of their lessons. They should be more creative in order to engage their students in virtual learning. They had to adjust with poor technology and bear with poor internet connection and unavailability of equipments and computers. Meanwhile, since students are used to face interaction with the teacher, sudden shift to the new system is really difficult. It requires proper orientation, familiarization, and appreciation of the new normal. This is where the assistance of parents and or guardians is very much needed. Since students are homeschooled, they have to monitor the development and performance of their child on
Lumabas
a
na safe
day-to-day
driving mode.
basis, which can also be stressful for them. Stress is not new to me as well. Last year, I was badly hit by the pandemic too. I was laid off from work as a probationary employee. Looking for a new work was quite difficult, and at some point, I had to set aside my passion to accommodate a job just to survive this pandemic. I also had to juggle two jobs, one full time and a part time, in order to keep up with my finances. It's a tall order, especially when you are multitasking while emotionally vulnerable. I also had my fair share of tears, believe me. But I guess the current circumstances gave me as well as the opportunity to see beyond the adversities and hardships and look profoundly on my values and strengths. Now I see that while we have no control over what happens in our lives, we have the power to choose our reaction and attitude towards it. Now I get to see the meaning in everything. I don't dwell too much on the pandemic or what is happening around, but on what the circumstances are trying to teach me. Now I also see that perhaps difficult times are really difficult, but they also create better opportunities and they bring out the best in people. It's just a matter of perspective. It's just a matter of faith.
Yes, thank you very much for sharing. And indeed, COVID-19 can affect anyone, and it affects everyone, of course. So let's continue with the discussion. So we have teacher talk. Okay. So it also would be beneficial for you to have ways to cope with stress. And there are 101 ways to cope with stress, and these materials are also available online. I got this from a textbook on stress management, and these things could be done. You could even take a screenshot of this general list of coping activities. So it's 101 ways. The first page is only 1 to 68. Stop share because my laptop is hanging. Okay. Yeah. Will. And this is the second part. You have to identify there things that you could do each week or each day in order for you to divert your attention from the tensions and work that you are feeling. These 101 ways to relieve your stress would help you find some activities that are fun and might be meaningful. And who knows, one of these activities could be your sideline and you could earn extra money. Some of the hobbies become our passion. So you might be doing this in your free time. So let's have another teacher talk. Let's listen to the talk of teacher Catherine. The fun things that I do to relieve the stress during the new. Hi, teacher Kat.
Hello po, Doc, Miss Almira. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Catherine P. from Sanggalang, and I'm here to talk about the fun things I do to relieve my stress during this time of the pandemic. But before I start, I want to share with you what are the reasons why we feel stressed during this time. According to the research entitled Psychological Impact of COVID-19 Pandemic in the Philippines, recent imposed quarantine, prolonged homestay, and reports of poor health status, unnecessary worry, concerns for family members, and discrimination were significantly associated with greater psychological impact of the pandemic and higher levels of stress, anxiety, and depression. But is it really normal to feel stressed during this time? According to WHO, it is normal to feel fearful and anxious during this time. Talking about your feelings will lessen your distress. The stress and adversity during this time can increase the risk for depression. If you are feeling sad, hopeless, and having thoughts of harming yourself, talk to a mental health professional or someone you trust about your feelings because it will help. So, as you can see, we must manage to relieve the stress we feel. And I know that we have different ways to do that. But always remember that don't forget to have fun. So, let me share with you the fun things I do to de stress myself. I summarize it into three parts, and for you to memorize it quickly, I made an acrostic of the word fun. For the letter F, it stands for find time for your family and friends. Make sure that despite the busy schedule, you still have time to talk and bond with your family and friends and spend quality time with them. In my experience, I usually spend quality time with my family during dinner and on weekends. And with my friends, I keep a constant communication with them through chats and video calls. We have online game nights, movie nights, and we keep each other posted on what's going on with our lives. With my coworkers, I try to ask them how they feel from time to time and if there is something I can do to help them. In that way, I can have a deeper connection with them and forget the worries I have in my mind because I spend my time with the people around me safely. For the letter U, it stands for Unleash New Skills. When you have your free time, try to unlock skills that will make you more productive, skills that you long to learn, and skills that will make you feel happy and satisfied. For me, I spend some of my free time exploring the internet and trying to develop my skills in making videos, PowerPoint presentations, and the likes that I may use in my online teaching. Remember, don't ever limit yourself to the skills that you can practice and master. And for the last letter and the most important thing, which is the letter N, it stands for never forget yourself. We have the saying that you cannot give what you do not have. So how can you give love and comfort to other people if you do not give it to yourself? Enjoy your alone time. Play with your pets, do your hobbies, talk to your plants, manage your work and personal time. Learn to say no to the things that seem too much for you. Enjoy the things that make you feel relaxed and at peace. For me, I always find time to chill and relax from time to time by watching movies, driving around the town, and singing my heart out. Always remember, balance is the key to everything that you do. If you know how to balance your thoughts, emotions, feelings, and you know how to prioritize the important things in life, you will do the things you do with happiness and love. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So we have here real teachers having actual activities in order for them to relieve stress. And we have here experiences coming from the field. Let's continue with the discussion. So we talked about check-ins and the stress of remote work. This webinar is also broadcasted on YouTube Live. Okay. So let's talk about subjective well-being. What is it all about and what does the literature say about it? So subjective well-being is also known as happiness, is a person's cognitive and affective evaluations of his or her life. So happiness could also have cognitive and affective aspects. Let's look at what the literature says. So I did a word cloud of subjective well-being during the time of the pandemic. All of these are articles that have the search term, under the search term, subjective well-being and COVID-19. I processed all the articles through a software. It's a qualitative software called NVivo, and this is much used in the research, widely used in the research. So what does the literature say about subjective well-being? In a word cloud, if you see word clouds, the bigger the font, the more pronounced the font, that means that the more the times that it would be occurring in the literature. So for example, in this word cloud, you would see here pandemic and COVID because naturally we are all in a pandemic. But a lot of terms that came out would be health and health in the context of all the lockdowns. Of course, you have subjective well being as one of the themes, but you have also exercise. You have the effects of COVID 19. You have satisfaction. Despite the fact that we are in lockdown, satisfaction in life is also research on. So there's also resilience. There's also gratitude because gratitude is a part of subjective well being. So, for example, you are in this pandemic situation, and of course, it might be very hard. At the end of the day, it would be best for you to think about three things that made you smile. For example, it could be a cup of coffee, it could be a pleasant talk with your son or daughter, it could be a nice walk out in the park. It could be a compliment. What are the three things that made you smile during the day? And you could savor these activities, you could savor these experiences at the end of the day in order for you to end the day at a high note. So these are the themes of all the articles that have the search term subjective well-being during the COVID-19 pandemic. So let's discuss the cognitive element. It refers to what one thinks about his or her life satisfaction in global terms. So, for example, life as a whole. And what are the domain terms such as my family life, my relationship with my significant other, my relationship with the people around me? How about the productive things I do as a human being? For example, are you helping out in community pantries? Are you helping out for a cause? Are you helping out in your church? These are some cognitive elements in your subjective well being because you would think of your satisfaction level in global terms. And there are also researches in subjective well being that say that if we engage ourselves with contributing to humane activities, the happiness level would be higher compared to filling ourselves with material things. In fact, the mean satisfaction or happiness level that is derived from helping other people is 10 months as compared to 7 to 10 days of buying yourself an expensive piece of jewelry or an expensive piece of technology. So there is much satisfaction when we help out. So that is part of subjective well-being, helping others. And then there's also an affective element. So it refers to emotions, moods, and feelings. Affect is considered positive when the emotions, moods, and feelings experienced are pleasant. So if we experience pleasant activities, we are contributing to our subjective well-being. If, for example, we are trying our best to make others happy, somehow it has a ripple effect and it also makes us feel happy. Affect is deemed negative, though, when the emotions, moods, and feelings that are experienced are unpleasant, such as guilt, anger, and shame. In the literature, it says that these negative emotions would weigh greater than the pleasant emotions. For example, you experience joy in a day. Let's say, for example, you got promoted. And then all of a sudden, something happened. For example, someone that you know died, or someone that you know um, quarreled with you. You had a big fight with another person. That moment of elation would drop, and that feeling of happiness would also drop. So the literature says that if you have negative emotions, try your best also to feel positive emotions, because negative emotions could really ruin your day. Also, if you are undergoing a lot of stress during this time, it would also be best for you to take a break from your stress. It would also be wise for you to stop thinking of the problem for a while, to take a break. For example, if you feel that you have a financial situation, if you have a problem that you could not solve, take a break for from that problem for a while. Mentally leave it for a while. Recharge and rejuvenate, and then afterwards focus on problem solving. You will realize that if you are well rested, you would be able to solve the problem better. Okay, so my computer froze again. So I have to start sharing again. So subjective well-being. So subjective well-being as a concept, as person who has a high level of satisfaction with their life and who experiences greater positive affect and little or less negative affect would be deemed to have a higher level of subjective well-being. Or in simpler terms, they are happier than other people. It used to be that the Philippines was one of the happiest people in the world. Now it's Bhutan. Now, why Bhutan as the happiest country in the world? In Bhutan, they don't measure their success in terms of gross national product, but they measure their success terms in gross national happiness. So once I was in a seminar, face-to-face seminar, and there was a person from Bhutan, and she told me that we believe that wealth would make us successful in life. We also believe that having a good income would make us happy in life. But we also believe that wealth is not everything. So we measure our success by being happy. And their king, they really love their king there. The king is trying his best to make people feel satisfied and contented in life. That's why Bhutan is the highest, has the highest gross national happiness. And in fact, it is being studied. The University of Pennsylvania is studying how Bhutan maintains its level of happiness and subjective well-being. It is indeed the happiest country in the world because they measure their success in terms of happiness. And it's not only happiness when it comes to material things, it's happiness that they have a fulfilling experience in what they do. How to increase subjective well being. One of the measures to increase subjective well being in the literature is mindfulness. We need mindfulness because they say that if you are depressed, there's a poor connection among the neurons. When you are mindful, you concentrate on something, the neuron seems to connect. And mindfulness is one of the strategies used when people are experiencing depression. So, how can we benefit from mindfulness? These are the features of mindfulness. The first is a receptive attention to the present moment. For example, if you are washing dishes, I know that washing dishes or washing your clothes could really be a chore. But what if you focus your attention on the colors of the clothes? You focus your attention on how the water feels. And you would notice that the water would have different temperatures as you wash your clothes. Notice how the soap feels on your hand. And that is a mindful way of washing the clothes. If you are focusing your attention, remember if you're mindful, you don't do other things. If you focus your attention to this specific task that you hate, and you focus your attention to the details of the task, chances are you will appreciate the task better. When you are mindful also, you are doing the activity with an open mind without any judgment and prejudice. This distinguishes mindfulness from being alert or attending to specific stimuli. You are aware of the transient nature of your thoughts and emotions and feelings. For example, one of my favorite mindfulness activities would be if ever I would be going through a very difficult day, I would wear good clothing. And my definition of good clothing is how the fabric feels on the skin. So, for example, if I'm having a difficult meeting, and it I would have meetings when we had face-to-face sessions, and I was in admin then my term uh, uh, was still on during that time. I would wear clothes that are very comfortable, and I would focus on the fabric instead of the difficulties of the meeting or instead of the difficult situation. So I would focus on that for a while and then put my attention again in the meeting. If I'm having a difficult time, I try to be mindful. I try to practice mindfulness. You don't need extra time to practice mindfulness. You could do mindfulness while you are doing a specific activity. Okay, the features of mindfulness would be an attitude of being open, curious, non judgmental towards whatever arises in the stream of consciousness. If, for example, you have a thought of the anger, you just acknowledge the thought, and the thought is there. Acknowledge the thought that there is anger. Okay, there is anger. You just acknowledge it. There is sadness. I acknowledge that there is a wave of sadness. But do not let the sadness overwhelm you. You just acknowledge its presence. So that is feeling it without any judgment or prejudice. It is found to be associated with a range of indicators of psychological well being, and it has been found to alleviate stress and anxiety. So let's have another teacher talk. Teacher Sab would be talking about mindfulness activities that she is using.
Docket will be presented po by Miss Mira. Thank you po.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone. I am Miss Sabrina, one of the facilitators for this webinar. Right now, I'm about to share to you the concept of mindfulness. In this time of pandemic, many of us have experienced a loss of control, a great sense of vulnerability for ourselves and others, and an uproar of challenging emotions, including fear, guilt, and grief. With so many uncertainty, we are left with no choice other than to live in the present moment one day at a time, which isn't so easy. So now, what is mindfulness and how can we practice it during this time of pandemic? Mindfulness is a practice of paying attention to present moment experiences. This state is described as observing one's thoughts and feelings without judging them as good or bad. Being mindful means paying close attention to what's happening in the moment. It is about being present. How to practice mindfulness this time of pandemic? I have here some ways which I've abbreviated with the word calm. C stands for clear our minds and focus in our breathing. A for awareness or become aware of the present moment. L is for letting go or letting be, meaning learn how to let go or let be. And M to practice muscle relaxation. First, clear your mind and focus on your breathing. Mindfulness or mindful breathing helps us connect to the present moment because our minds are usually running off, busy worrying about the future or regretting something that we did in the past. Next is awareness. Awareness is the knowledge and the ability to focus attention on one's inner processes and experiences, such as the experience or the present moment. We observe our thoughts and emotions, and we need to explore why those specific ideas might be surfacing. Third is letting go or letting be. This refers to an open, relaxed, non judgmental acceptance of what is and requires no action, rather than a mindful being with things as they are. Learning how to let go and sit with the present moment is at the core of mindful living. To be mindful is to observe and label thoughts, feelings, sensations in the body in an objective manner. Mindfulness can therefore be a tool to avoid self criticism and judgment while identifying and managing difficult emotions. There is relief from the stress to be found in letting go and letting be. And last is muscle relaxation. So, muscle relaxation helps us on how to relax different areas of the body by first tightening and then relaxing muscles, paying particular attention to areas where stress typically felt, like the jaw, neck, shoulders, stomach, and many more. So, the goal is to release tension from your muscles while helping you recognize what that tension feels like. On a personal note, I myself practice these ways to stay mindful amidst this pandemic. So when things are getting out of hand and I was caught with what's happening around me, I always try to breathe mindfully. I inhale slowly and exhale slowly, repeating it, which I guess helped me to focus more and be present at that moment. I also try to always be in tune with my emotions. I always believe that both positive and negative emotions have good intentions and have something to say to me. And it is also said that the more we dwell on things, the more it affects us. Thus, we need to try to focus on what we can control and stop focusing on what we cannot. We need to learn how to let go and let things at it should be, or as it should be. This pandemic showed many limitations and challenges to me, but I tried to let go and learn to focus on the aspects I can do something about. To end the sharing, I want to leave this quote by John Kabat-Zinn. Let us all remember that mindfulness is a way of befriending ourselves and our experiences. With that, thank you so much for listening.
Okay, thank you very much for your sharing. Thank you. Okay, so let us continue the discussion. Okay. Different feelings during COVID-19 are normal, and we experience a whole gamut of feelings, and sometimes it could be overwhelming when we think of it. However, if we would think that everyone else in this world would have the similar experience and perhaps could be worse, we would have a different view of what we are thinking. Okay, so let's have another teacher talk. Maintaining mental health during the pandemic. Okay, by teacher Muren. Okay, teacher Muren.
Mental health refers to our emotional, psychological, and social well being. It affects how we think, feel, and react as we cope in life. Mental health also determines how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. In this time of the pandemic, most of us, if not all of us, are facing difficult situations which may be stressful, overwhelming, and detrimental to our mental health. Fortunately, there are lots of things that we can do to look after our mental health. So, here are some tips to help you maintain your mental health during this time of the pandemic. The first one is to keep informed. During this time, there are lots of fake news and false information circulating that may cause unnecessary burden and stress to us. That is why it is important that we only listen to the advice and recommendations given by local and national authorities. It is also important that we get our news straight from trusted outlets and channels. The second one is to limit social media usage. While social media may help us cope during this time, it is also important that we take a step back and reduce our consumption of social media, especially if it makes us feel anxious or distressed. The third tip is to have a routine. The pandemic may have given us an unstructured time which may be detrimental to our mental health. And routine helps us create a structure to our days and give us a sense of accomplishment. That is why it is important that we keep up with daily routines as far as possible or even make new ones during this time. However, we also have to remember to be flexible because life is unpredictable and there are a lot of things that happen in life that we cannot control. The fourth tip is to stay connected. During this time of quarantine, social distancing, and isolation, maintaining social contact is very important. Thankfully, even when our movements are limited, technology still allows us to keep in regular contact with our families, friends, and our loved ones. This can be done through our telephones, smartphones, and the different social media platforms that we have. The fifth one is to do activities that you enjoy. Ask yourself, what are the things that you enjoy doing? What are the activities that you can lose yourself in? What did you love doing in the past that you feel like you haven't done in a while? Enjoying yourself helps beat stress, and that is why concentrating on an activity or hobby that you enjoy can help you forget your worries for a while and help you improve your mood. Personally, some activities that help me maintain my mental health during this time are reading books and journaling. I find that losing myself in a good book and being immersed in a different world helps me to reduce my stress and makes me feel more relaxed. Journaling, on the other hand, helps me to unload my thoughts and feelings, especially the negative ones that bother me. It also helps me to sort through those thoughts and feelings by looking at them objectively once written down on paper. How about you? What are the activities that would help you maintain your mental health during this time? But the most important thing that we should remember is that it is okay to ask for help. Whenever we feel that we cannot bear our stress, negative thoughts, and negative emotions, know that there are always people who are willing to listen and help.
Okay, thank you very much for your sharing. Let's continue with the discussion. We now talk about some practical things that we could do to maintain our subjective well being during the pandemic. So far, we have discussed a lot. We have checked in and we have discussed the importance of check in and the stressors. We have identified some fun things that we could do We have had teacher talks and we have defined subjective well being and what the literature says about subjective well being. Now we talk about how to increase subjective well being. Okay. We had mindfulness and we talked about mindfulness. We had teacher talks about it. So these are some easy things that we could do. First and foremost, the WHO advocates for focusing on the things that we can control. There are things that we cannot control. For example, we cannot control where the coronavirus would go, but we could wear masks. We could eat healthy food, we could maintain physical distance, we could also wear our face shields, we could stay at home, exercise and boost our metabolism, and we could also boost our immune system and we could hand wash. These are the practical things that we could do. If we focus on the practical things that we could do, anxiety and worry would be lesser. Some people would focus on the things that they could not control. And one of the general features of anxiety, the key feature, by the way, is worry. People would be problematizing on what would happen in the future. A lot of people who are worried during this time of the pandemic would tell me, I am so worried about what will happen tomorrow. I am so worried about what would happen the week after next. I would ask, why are you worried about these things? And they would tell me, well, I'm just worried about them. A lot of people who worry really worry about things that are not have not yet happened. So let's focus first on the things that we can control. We focus on the things that we can control, we would be having lesser feelings of anxiety. It's not working. So let's just do this. Focus on the things that we can control. Next is to maintain a time schedule, and this has been discussed. We are creatures of routine. Ever since the clock was invented, we were geared towards following a schedule. For tribes, for example, I've done research in some ethnic groups in the Philippines that do not have any concept of time. They would say, magkita tayo sa Makalawa. How would they determine if it's Makalawa already? So they would determine the sunrise and the sunset, and when there's a sunset, they would tie a knot. So that's the first day. And then Makalawa, the second day, they would tie another knot. And yes, even at this era, there are some groups that do not have a concept of time. However, we are in Metro Manila, or we are in a place where in time is very essential. So we have to maintain a time schedule. However, if there are some glitches in that schedule, let's forgive ourselves because we are not perfect. Let's do better tomorrow. And then we have breathing exercises. Easy will be talking about technology. There are a lot of breathing exercises on YouTube that you could try. And exercises for anxiety would definitely help. Do some soothing activities. If you say soothing activities, these are activities that involve the five senses. So we can soothe with a sense of sight. These are also mindfulness activities that you might want to consider. So looking at the sunset and sunrise mindfully, you don't do other things while looking at the sunset. You focus on the colors, the changes of colors, the beauty. You appreciate them. It's like appreciating a painting. You appreciate the painting by looking at the painting and looking at the pictures of the painting. Okay? You soothe with the sense of hearing, listening to music, playing an instrument, humming a tune, listening to the radio. Soothing with the sense of smell. Your three in one, you could smell your three in one before you slowly make the coffee and you savor every bit of that coffee. Soothe with the sense of taste, and there is also such a thing as mindful eating. You soothe with the sense of touch. Petting, for example, the animals, your cat, petting the dog would be a very good relaxation exercise. Let's have another teacher talk on maintaining physical health. Do you know that a 30-minute exercise is equal to one solo pill? That is one of the findings that they have in the happiness lab of the university. Movement has something to do with mental health. The more you move, the more healthier you feel. And in the literature, if you feel healthy, chances are you won't have any thoughts of sickness. That's why movement is very much important. The teacher Syra, let's maintain physical health. Talk about the ways that you maintain your physical health.
Thank you, Doc. Almira, please help us share the screen, please.
Maintaining physical health in this time of pandemic due to COVID-19. Prepared by yours truly, Zaire Iligan, UP Diliman Graduate School student from College of Education, Guidance Education. Most of us really don't know why we should be careful about our physical health and how to properly maintain it. I hope with this short presentation, you will be able to get good insights and great tips on how we can maintain our physical health in these trying times under pandemic situation. First, let us define physical health. What is physical health? It is a well-being of the body and the proper functioning of the organism of individuals. A normal condition for individuals of both physical and mental condition who are not suffering from any form of sickness. Traditionally, physical health might have been understood as a physical body being free from any diseases or disability. But now, it is defined as the ability to perform daily tasks and live comfortably in one's body. From the American Heart Association, it says that physical activity boosts mental wellness. Regular physical activity can relieve tension, stress, anxiety, depression, and anger. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused everyone to pause and reevaluate their physical health and well-being. For a typically healthy individual without any physical impairments to their physical health, this is something we take for granted. COVID-19 has changed many of our daily routines in a way no one anticipated. Many of us are at home because we want to minimize exposure from the virus. Before, we do a lot of walking, we do a lot of traveling from one place to another. We also do outing with our family and friends, strolling at the mall or park, and now we have more long hours by just sitting while reading books, sitting while using computer or laptop because of our work, watching movie or TV shows, and etc. With this unprecedented lifestyle shift, there is a potential for the normalization of a more sedentary lifestyle path with such activities that I've mentioned. In this new normal, we must stay proactive, and in some cases, we must be creative to maintain an active lifestyle in the era of social distancing. Even if we are not directly affected by COVID-19 or tested positive, it has no doubt that it has a drastic impact in our day-to-day routine, which can negatively affect our overall health, including mental health. Please note that physical health and mental health are interconnected. Every challenges that we experience from poor physical health during pandemic may affect human emotions such as fear, worry, panic, anxiety, or depression-related distress, and it can appear more commonly among people, and a teacher is no exception. The COVID-19 pandemic has led teachers to an unpredictable scenario where the lockdown situation has accelerated the shift from traditional to online educational methods. The student-teacher relationship has been altered by the avoidance of direct contact. Physical activity seems to be a factor that could prevent mental disorders such as anxiety or depression in a peculiar situation. The role of physical activity in general health and well-being of teachers during lockdown should be important also, as it has been found that those teachers performing more exercises during leisure time or in a more autonomous way may prevent easier physical and mental health problems. Teaching indeed is a demanding profession, and anyone who says otherwise has never been a teacher. Teachers need to be physically fit to build unnecessary energy reserves required for daily teaching. So why are we going? So why there's a need for us to take care of our physical health? First, we have to understand that health is a way of life. And what does physical health mean actually? We have to choose healthy because of our profession. And let us not forget that our body is a magnificent creation of our Creator. It is a house or a sanctuary of our spirit, and our body is as important as our spirit. And of course, our body is the vehicle to handle and to fulfill our purpose. That is why physical health is very important and it is interconnected with our overall health. I have here prepared a tips to maintain good physical health and I call it relax. R for rest and pause. Do self-care activities. Meditate, relax, spend quality time with your family and friends, do personal care. E. Exercise and eat healthy. L. Learn to know yourself more. Do what makes you happy. Do not forget that you are a growing person or a work in progress. A. Adequate sleep. X. Don't make room for any stressors. Failed relationships, let it go. Friends who walk away, forgive and let it go. Unsupportive family members, don't mind and let it go. And all the painful experiences in the past. Once again, relax and always remember to take care of your physical health so our body will take care of us also. Have a nice day.
Okay, so those are some tips. Teach personally, how do you maintain physical health? What are the things
Hi,
that
Doc
you do?
Gomez. Thank you for that question. No, I want to share personal experience. This is very personal. So, I used to weigh 96 kilos on December 2020, and I started to feel insecure, ugly, anxious, and all those sad feelings. And I get tired easily, even if we are doing work from home. And lastly, I ran out of clothes to wear. And those are the things that push me to start reducing food intake and do intermittent fasting. And currently, I'm 87 kilos now. And meaning I lost 8 kilos for the past 5 months. Aside from doing good healthy diet, I also tried incorporating with little exercises daily. So whenever I have free time before going to sleep, I do exercise, and it's really a good help for me. Next is I also try to have at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep whenever it's possible and whenever I have free time also. I try to make sure to refuel my body so that I can deliver efficiently the next day. And because I learned a lot of mindfulness activities and self-care activities from our class in EDCO 202 and from all the webinars that I've attended, I incorporated also self-care activities and mindfulness activities in my daily life. I do breathing exercises, and in between piled up work from work and also from school, I take 5 minutes. I can still remember during our first session, Doc Gomez, that you're the one who said that it's okay to have 5 minutes rest in between so that you loosen up and somehow recharge from the pressure and exhaustion. Another tip also is we don't need validation from other people. We have to be the strongest person for ourselves, and we need to help ourselves. It is only us who can help ourselves to be healthy, to feel better, and to feel good. And let us not forget that we are worthy even though we are imperfect. Thank you, Doc.
Okay, thank you very much, Shaira. And now we go on to the last part of the discussion, going high tech with subjective well being. So, there are some practical ways or technologies we could use. We could, for example, take the the Facebook, for example, you could take social media, and there are a lot of information, education, and communication materials that we could use in order for us to maintain our subjective well-being. You could also look for sources coming from universities, and it would be very much important if you would be looking for videos or infographics or easy reference materials. Take note that the materials have to come from refereed sources. These have to come from credible sources, because not everything posted on social media is correct. So we have to take note of some materials that are credible, because if we will have uncredible materials, that might cause us more harm than good. Okay, so going high tech, we have apps, we have YouTube materials, we have videos, and other information, education, and communication materials. These materials are readily available on the World Wide Web. The World Health Organization, for example, has mindfulness exercises available, and these are podcasts. Okay. And for example, you could also look at the Happiness Lab of the Yale University, or you could look at positive psychology materials at the University of Pennsylvania. For our last but not the least teacher talk, and I feel that technology is always exciting, let's talk. Teacher Lizzie will be talking about apps on subjective well-being and wellness. So, Teacher Lizzie, thank you for your sharing.
Hello, good day everyone. So for today, I'm going to talk about some mobile apps that we could use to maintain our wellness during the pandemic. But before that, let's define what is wellness. So according to the Global Wellness Institute, wellness is defined as the active pursuit of activities, choices, and lifestyles that lead to a state of holistic health. So how can we practice wellness despite of our busy schedules? Since most of us, or every one of us, have access to our smartphones, we're going to show you some ways on how we could practice wellness with the aid of some mobile apps. Okay. But disclaimer, we are not sponsored by the developers of these apps. These are just some of our app recommendations which we find useful and convenient. Okay. First way to practice wellness is to eat well. So eating well does not mean that you have to spend so much money on good quality and healthy food. It simply means to be aware of what you eat, how much you eat, and when was the last time you ate. Our app recommendation for this one is called Food Diary. Okay? So Food Diary is a food log app. It allows you to record your food intake, making you more conscious of what you eat and your eating habits. Okay? It also keeps track of your liquid and medications, and also your exercises and some of your activities that you do. Okay? Next is to meditate. Sometimes we may also need some inner peace, okay, where we find ourselves in a psychological or spiritual calmness. Though some of us we may find it difficult to turn off our brain. Okay? We constantly think about our work, our family, our friends, when will this pandemic be over, and etc. Okay? So to encourage meditation with the use of your smartphones, okay, we recommend the app called Let's Meditate. Okay? Meditate, relax, and sleep. Okay? So it has a curated list of guided meditation tracks catering to a wide variety of topics such as anxiety, healing, sleep, and many more. Okay. Next is do the things you enjoy and also enjoy the little things. Start saying no to things you don't want to do or need to do, and make more time to things you truly enjoy. Choose joy, either it be reading a good book that you always wanted to read, or simply enjoying a cup of coffee in the morning. The app that we recommend for this one is called Gratitude. journal, affirmations, and vision board. This app could help you realize that there are so many reasons to enjoy life and be grateful. As such, gratitude creates positive emotions such as joy, love, and contentment, which can undo the grips of negative emotions. Okay, so those are just some of our app recommendations. Now let me share you my story during this pandemic and how did I use some of these apps. Okay. During the pandemic, some of us may find ourselves stuck in an emotional challenge. I even found myself in a similar situation last year, 2020. I experienced overthinking, unhealthy food consumption, and also lack of sleep or too much sleep. I have personally tried some of these apps and I find them quite interesting and also helpful for me. Okay? I learned to be more grateful of what I have. Okay? I started to be aware of what I consume, okay, and how much should I consume in a day. And also, though it took some time, I also learned to have a proper sleep cycle. Okay? Spending some time for yourself and your well-being is necessary for your wellness. Okay? Pause for a while and take a break or take a deep breath.
Thank you very much. And now we open the floor to the most interesting part of the webinar. You can unmute your mic or you could type in your responses in the chat box, your questions in the chat box. You could also ask for our Facebook Live listeners. You could also ask us questions by typing your questions in the chat box.
Hello, everyone. In behalf of my classmates and co-facilitators, we would like to say thank you, Dr. Gomez, for sharing your expertise with a very fruitful presentation about subjective well-being and managing stress in the new normal. And like what Dr. Gomez said, it's now open. The floor is now open for the question and answer. You can also use the chat box for your questions. We'll be reading them. Thank you.
Okay. Ma'am Au said that let's convert the jitters of the pandemic as triggers to do something positive. That would be something that would be worthwhile. And my Chinese friends would say that the challenges are and opportunities have the same character in Chinese, but they are pronounced differently. So if ever there's a challenge or a struggle, we could look at it as an opportunity to succeed.
Again, feel free to type your questions in the chat box feature. Take your time. Thank you.
I know that it's quite difficult during this pandemic. What are the things that make you happy or smile despite the difficulties in the pandemic in your day-to-day life as teachers? So, for example, Zaira, what makes you happy as a teacher in your day-to-day life?
Hi, Doc. Our profession is very pressuring, right? But it's somehow a relief for me whenever I've helped at least one student in a day. So one thank you is already enough um to make up with all the struggles in all the preparations, in the intervention sessions, and counseling notes. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Sab, what makes you happy? What makes you smile during this pandemic?
Good afternoon po, Doc. So, for me po, the things that made me smile. So, first is my profession din po. So, as a guidance associate slash guidance teacher, I'm always inspired by my students, especially when I heard the word thank you, just like with Miss Sai. Okay, and aside from that, by doing the things that I like my interest, no, my hobbies. So, I don't forget po na I still need to relax and to do fun things kagaya ng sabi po ni Miss Catherine kanina. So thank you, Doc.
Okay, so thank you very much. Now let's get the audience to participate. So for example, Ma'am Au, how do you maintain happiness during this season of the pandemic? Ma'am Au is a seasoned teacher.
Okay. Although I'm already retired, ma'am, medyo involved pa rin ako sa school kasi nga, you know, nagbibigay pa rin ako ng advice kapag may mga teachers na nagko-consult. Ang problema kasi, ma'am, ngayon sa school, primarily sa distance learning is yung mga bata or parents na hindi masyadong supportive. Yung maaring may internet sila pero hindi guided yung mga bata. So, naglo-lose interest yung mga bata sa lessons pag hindi talaga nila kaya. Ang nangyayari, yung participation na present sa face-to-face, nawawala talaga. So, lack of interest hanggang sa parang nag-drop out na hindi mo naman pwedeng i-declare na drop out. Tapos sasabihin, the teachers are not doing everything para ma-engage yung mga bata. Pero parang when teachers at this time of the pandemic are so heavy na yung task sa shoulders nila. Tapos sasabihin pa na hindi mo ginagawa yung lahat ng pwedeng, hindi mo ini-exert ang effort mo para ma-expend lahat ng energies mo para itong batang ito ma-save or ma-involve or ma-engage. Paano nga kung may internet pero talagang ayaw ng parents ma-involve sa paggabay?
So ma'am, in this situation, how do you make yourself happy? Yes, we do understand that there are some people there are some parents who are very difficult. So ma'am, the question is, how do you make yourself feel contented and happy despite the situation?
Ako, how I make myself happy?
Yes.
I just accept kung yung situation ng things ngayon, talagang tinatanggap ko na lang. Kasi kapag mag-overreact ka or masyado mong i-occupy yung utak mo sa mga nega, talo ka rin. Ikaw rin yung talo. So, ako kasi dinadaan ko na lang sa basa ng books, dinadaan ko na lang sa paglalaro ng online games. Kasi there are certain things na which are beyond yung talagang hindi na natin kaya talagang hindi na natin sakop. So why involve your things in some aspects na talagang beyond your capability? Enjoy mo na lang yung sarili mo, libangin mo na lang yung sarili mo, get involved with other things.
Okay, very nice, ma'am.
Masaya rin naman ako makipag-communicate sa mga parents kahit na hindi ko na sila estudyante.
Very nice, ma'am, that you could find satisfaction through, for example, playing games, reading books, not thinking about the negative situations. Thank you very much, ma'am, for sharing.
Thank you rin po for the invitation to attend.
Thank you rin po. So let's listen to Ma'am Faith Sampan, because Ma'am Faith is a PE, has a PE degree, physical ed degree, human kinetics degree. And by profession, she trains students with disabilities, for example, to swim. How do you maintain your subjective well-being or happiness, Ma'am Faith, during this time of the pandemic?
Hi, ma'am. Hello?
Yes, Ma'am Faith.
Yes, ma'am. A lot of activities no, ma'am. Actually, kahit online, may physical activities pa rin. So, we can still do physical activities even now we're doing online classes. So, hindi siya nalilimit, ma'am, na face-to-face lang. For example, no, may class ako, ma'am, wheelchair basketball. So
Aha.
we had to modify, no? We had to modify the sport para magawa ng mga bata. So hindi siya ma'am nalilimit din. So may paraan para maging active pa din tayo these days.
Yes, and that's very nice to know that even people, even children with disabilities, can be active and can keep fit during this time. Maraming salamat po sa sharing. And are there other people who would want to share? For example, Ma'am Christina, would you want to share? How do you keep your happiness during the pandemic, ma'am?
Ma'am, Ma'am Christina Flores po.
Yes,
Yes,
yes, yes,
ma'am. Good
ma'am.
afternoon. So, ma'am, it is very opportunity to listening in your topic. Me, ma'am, first acceptance. I-accept na po natin kasi if we are not accept yung our situation, nega po tayo. Second is prayer. So, silent first and pray na maybe some of my students like that, yung nawawala na po sa online, I'm keep praying pa rin po, ma'am. That is the two things na ginagawa ko during this pandemic. Kasi, ma'am, without acceptance po, wala pong mangyayari. Kung going to flow lang po tayo na ganito yung mga pangyayari. And without prayer po, kasi po prayer for me is a best weapon po for the everything po. So, yun po ma'am, yun po yung tinatanggap po. And always be smile. Kasi po, ang smile po ay nagpapabata po sa atin para po mawala ang lahat ng mga worries, although na very burden po ang mga trabaho namin as a teacher today. Kasi po, for example, in our paperworks, even though this is a virtual, there is no face-to-face, but natatambakan po kami ng mga paperwork. Sorry for that po ha. But as I said while ago, ma'am, yun nga po, yung three things na accept the fact, yung situation, prayer, and always be smile po. Bawal po ang nega. Kasi pag po yun ang ginamit natin, wala pong mangyayari. That's all, ma'am. Thank you po.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Christina. And indeed, spirituality has a connection with subjective well-being. In the literature, it is said that those who believe in higher power and those who are having a very good spiritual life and having a good connection with God have higher chances of have higher levels of optimism. So that improves our subjective well-being because we can always be optimistic about the situation. Let's read some of the responses of the participants in the chat box. From Ma'am Andrea, I am making myself busy by doing productive activities such as learning new things so that we can have our new discoveries in life and we can prove to ourselves that we can do something new. From Ma'am Maria Fe, what makes me happy during this new normal by discovering new skills or things that I can use in my online class and spend quality time with my family and friends. So these are some activities that teachers can do, and perhaps we could share these activities. So from Mom Christine, what makes me happy is watching my Mayana plants and other plants in our yard. So that could be a mindfulness activities. Okay, so also I saw something from Mom Sinaida. What makes me happy is doing what I love to do, spending my time with our fur babies, playing with them every day, and planting. So these are some practical things that we could do.
That's correct, Dr. Gomes. It's very overwhelming, no, that our participants are very willing to share for all of us. Please know that we appreciate all your sharings and we also learn a lot from you.
Yes, we are learning a lot from you. Okay, so we are towards the end of the presentation. Remember, you can always ask me questions. Some people would not want to ask online or would not want to ask the webinar. So I will be giving you my email address, because there are some people who ask me some personal questions about what happened to them, and there are some experiences are indeed not supposed to be discussed in public, and I welcome these questions, and I put my email there in the chat box so that you would know. No, if you want to ask me, you could email me so that you could personally ask me on certain things. Again, also, I have here's my a student, my student from research, Christian, who is making a research on teachers and how the strategies that they use during the pandemic. Christian, hi Christian.
Hi, good morning po, Prof.
Oh, could you tell us something about your research and how people could participate in your research?
Ayun, thank you po. For my research po, I'm doing a study investigating the specific teacher needs in the Philippines when adapting to first the online setup and of course the pandemic. So I'm trying to identify what are the most pertinent needs that teachers have that needs to be addressed by schools or government institutions to help us become more effective online teachers, especially since I think for a lot of us who are teachers are going into another semester or school year of online education. So to participate po, I will be posting a link to a Google form here in the chat. It's a very short Google form. It's only going to ask for your basic information, but we will not ask for your name, so you can remain anonymous. And then it has 7 questions, and all you have to do is answer it from a scale of 1 to 5 depending on how strongly you agree with the statements that are there. So I hope that if you have time, you can participate in my study. It would be very helpful po for me as the researcher and also for us to understand what do teachers need right now in order to continue being effective educators. So yun lang po. Thank you everyone. Thank you Doc Gomez for allowing me to plug this research of mine.
Yes, and we will be giving you a certificate of appreciation or participation in this research when you accomplish this. Diba, Christian? We will
Yes
give
po.
them a
Yes po, Doc.
certificate. Okay. Thank you very much for the people who would help. Remember that if we help other people, that would contribute also to our happiness and subjective well-being.
Yes. I
So,
agree, Doc Gomez. Thank you for that. Okay, so we're almost near the end of our webinar, but we will not let this day pass without awarding the certificate to our dear resource speaker and
yes,
also
okay.
with our
Let,
facilitators. So now,
yeah, let's
may I
award it.
call on, oops, I'm sorry.
Yes, we could also award it because the major people who contributed to the success of this seminar are our participants.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes.
Actually, Dr. Gomez, Miss Kath will also present the sample certificate for our attendees. So,
Perhaps we could present the certificate to them.
okay. Take it
Okay.
away, Miss Kath.
So
Thank
let's
you.
present the certificates to them, and we will be giving you the link on how you could receive the certificates. Okay? So we have the certificates here, but we would be presenting you the certificates of participation. Okay? So let's start with this would be our certificate of participation for our audience.
Yes, Doc. Thank you po. Please let me read the citation for the Certificate of Participation. University of the Philippines, Diliman, College of Education, Counselor Education. This Certificate of Participation is given to for actively participating in the webinar entitled Maintaining Subjective Well-Being and Managing Stress in the New Normal, held on the 29th day of May 2021. Marie Grace A. Gomez, PhD RGC Speaker, Faculty College of Education UP, signed Sabrina Advincula, Ezekiel C. Caldona, Zaira O. Iligan, Almira M. Reciproco, Catherine Chris M. Sangalang, and Miren S. Antioque. So this will be your e-certificates and we will be sending this through your emails. But please answer the exit evaluation. You can scan the QR code here or you can click the exit survey form in your chat box. Thank you.
So your certificates will be given to you automatically after you have completed the exit survey. Thank you
Yeah.
very much for participating.
Thank you so much, Doc Gomez. Again,
Thank you very
kindly
much.
accomplish the evaluation form for this webinar. The link is also in the chat feature. You can scan also the QR code that is being flashed on screen. And please note that the e-certificates will be sent to your email within 5 days.
Okay, thank you very much. That the e-certificates, you have the details already. They will be sent to you within 5 days. And then also we have, if you have missed parts of the program, we will be having this webinar posted until Monday on YouTube. So I would be posting the link of the YouTube live video for this webinar. I have posted it earlier. I will be posting it again. It is still on YouTube live. So I will be posting the link. The links will be posted. The link will be posted. Here is the link, everyone. So keep safe and thank you very much. Let's end the session by having a photo op. Could you please turn on your video so that we could have a photo op?
Yes, it will be Miss Kath Sanggalang who will help us to
Yes.
document
Yes, okay.
this webinar.
Let's
For a
have a
photo op.
photo op.
Okay, so for the first screen, smile po. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Um, wait lang po. Again, 1, 2, 3. Standby lang po kasi 5 screens po to eh. Next screen. 1, 2, 3. Again, 1, 2, 3. For the third screen, 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Fourth, 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. And for the last screen po, 1, 2, 3. Again, 1, 2, 3. Thank you po.
Okay, if you need a copy of your picture as part of the evidence that you will be giving, for example, for promotion, you could email us and we would be giving you a copy of the photos, the pictures, because I know that you need this for promotion purposes. Keep safe, everyone. God bless you all and have a very happy weekend. Thank you very much for coming and making this webinar a success.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank
Keep safe.
you.
Thank you po.
Keep safe.
Keep safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
God bless you all.
God bless you.
Sinagot ako. God bless you.
Bye. Sister Thelma, thank you very much for coming. Ma'am Olive, thank you. Ma'am Cora, thank you very much. Ma'am Maricar, thank you. Ma'am Elena, thank you. Ma'am Christine. Ma'am Chona, thank you. Ma'am Purita, Ma'am Lou. Ma'am Marisa, thank you po. Thank you, Ma'am Olive. Thank you, Ma'am Eva. Thank you, Ma'am Joanne. Thank you, Ma'am
Thank you po.
Jessie.
God bless.
God bless you. Thank you, Ma'am Catherine. Thank you, Ma'am Julian. Thank you, Ma'am Sarah.
Thank you po.
Thank you, Ma'am Maridem. Thank you po, Ma'am Monica.
Thank you and
Thank you.
congratulations.
Thank you, Ma'am Eva. Thank you, Ma'am Net. Thank you, Ma'am Agnes, Ma'am Marcelina, Ma'am Teresita. Thank you po. Thank you, Ma'am Andrea. Thank you, Ma'am Luz. Thank you, Ma'am Melinda. Thank you, Ma'am Magdalena. Thank you, Ma'am Windy. Thank you, Ma'am Evelyn. Thank you, Ma'am Mayet.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.
Thank you.
Thank you
very
po.
much. God bless you all.
God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you po.
Thank you. Thank you, Ma'am Grace. Thank you, Ma'am
Salamat
Babette.
po sa magandang information.
Maraming salamat po. Thank you very much po. Thank you po. Keep safe.
Thank you po sa inyo.
Thank you po.
God bless po. Keep safe always.
God bless you po.
God bless po, Doc Gomez.
God bless you.
Thank you very much po, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Have a nice afternoon po. God bless everyone.
God bless you also. Have a nice afternoon.
Thank you po.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you po. Thank you po. Pwede na po kayong mag-exit ng room. Thank you po. Kung na-miss po, pwede pong kung may na-miss po, pwede pong sa YouTube. Pwede po niyong panoorin po sa YouTube. I will keep the video until Monday po. Ay, opo. Kung na